Welcome back again. I'm Mr.Gone, and thank you for spending a few minutes with me today. I'd also like to say welcome to our new friends that have subscribed and joined us here over the last week. And if you are not subscribed, stick around. You just might. And then we'll become friends too. All right, so I've got to get something off my chest before we get into today's topic. So we're going to get right into that right now. So I did go ahead and do the fusion, and I got Pelops, and that was fine and dandy, right? Well, the thing is that I also wanted Dexicos. You know what I'm saying? Well, the problem with that is that I went ahead and fused him before I made an extra copy of that, because I went ahead and I already picked him up in the earlier part of the fusion, so I already had him. If I would have just finished the fusion all the way, I would have had an extra copy, and I would have had a good reviver for the Argonites, but now I will not. So I'm over here trying to help you, and I can't even help myself. So do not follow my lead on that one. Follow your own intuition with that, and if you want to keep him, I would do the whole thing. Anywho, so in my last video, I talked a little about how I ended up starting Raid, and also how it ended up being and meaning like more than I had actually expected in a mobile game. And over my time, one of the things that my experience in the game taught me is that one of the hardest parts in the game is not finding stuff to do. It's deciding what not to do. And because the game will give you plenty to do, especially as like an early to mid game account, it gives you more than enough to do to reasonably handle anyway. And the frustration from a lot of those early and mid game accounts isn't going to come from necessarily from them playing poorly. It's going to be feeling like they're pulled in too many different directions. So this video isn't going to be about what you should do. It's going to be more about how I think when I'm deciding what deserves my attention and what I'm comfortable ignoring. So like I said, Raid gives you plenty of things to do. You got your missions, you got, you know, all of the dungeons, arena, the new content whenever it comes out, you know, tournaments, events, fusions. I mean, there's Forge, you know, there's plenty going on. And because of that, you know, because they all feel like they have value, right? And they do. Every piece of content in this game has some form of value. And it's just that some is a lot more than others. And because everything has value or feels like it's, you know, I have all this value, I got to do all this stuff, you know, I'm going to get all these resources, you know, or whatever. Everything feels urgent, you know, and it feels like I have to do these things, and I have to do this, and I have to do that, and then I got to go here. And the thing is that when you're doing everything because it's urgent, then, you know, nothing's actually getting done. And a lot of the especially early and mid game accounts, they don't stall out really because they're not active enough, like we've talked about in other videos. They'll stall out because their effort that they're putting in, like all of the things that they're doing, and they feel like they're being busy, it's just being spread too thin. And so more so back when I was early, like, well, mostly like I think I started really doing this more when I was like early mid game, when I was trying to decide like what I was going to work on next. And I would say this to the other people in my clan. at the time. I would say, I wouldn't ask myself like, what can I do today? When I log on, I'm not like, oh, what can I do? It's like, because like I said, there are a million things going on, but I would ask myself like, what can I do today that is going to actively move my account forward today? And when you reframe the question that way, it takes away a lot of the noise, a lot of the all this extra stuff going on, like all the tournaments, events, and all these things. It kind of narrows your focus down, where you're focused on the thing that you need to do. And it's not because the other things are bad. It's just the timing of when you do things in this game matters. They say there's a time and a place for everything. Well, it's no different here. And one of the more important things that you can do in Raid, aside from finding your people and building teams, is just becoming comfortable with ignoring different things in the game. Not forever, just while you're taking care of business, right? Because every account is going to go through different phases. You're going to, early game, you're going to have, certain things that you need to focus on. And that's the phase that you're in at that moment. And once you take care of that and you move past it, well, you're not in that phase anymore. Now you've moved on. And the things that you were focusing on and concentrating your time and energy on is not going to be as helpful in this new phase that you're in. And your progress is going to get a lot smoother when you stop trying to do everything simultaneously, like everything all at the same time. And like I said, it's easy to be busy. It's easy. There's always something that you can do in Raid. You could be, farming arena, rebuild your champs when they need it. Like when you get better gear finally, but then you're still feeling stuck, like I've done all this stuff. Why am I still the same place that I was yesterday? I saw things moving and going. Like, why is my account not moving and going with it? And that's because we're going to say this all together now. Activity without direction causes motion, not progress. Write that down. Because direction doesn't mean doing things perfectly. It just means knowing why you're doing what you're doing. And like, especially back, like I'm saying, I'm later game now. I would say at least late game. But when I started trying to focus my attentions, I would tell myself, I needed like one main focus, like one thing that this is what I need to get done. This is what I need to do. This is what we're going to work on for right now. Until we get this accomplished, nothing else matters. So I would have my one main focus, and then I would have a couple of supporting things that go around that kind of help get me there. And then a whole lot of shit that I'm just not doing. And like, for example, like when I was early mid game, I was slowly working my way up in Fire Knight. And, there's some missions, where you have to clear this amount of Fire Knight, on auto or whatever. So I kind of hammer fisted my way, as you do in these games, through the first little bit of it. But as we've talked about in the other videos, once you start to climb, you start to realize that hammer fisting your way through it just isn't going to work anymore. Now I've got to figure out how this puzzle goes together. And do I have the pieces of the puzzle, that I need to get this going and get this working? So you would have to come in and you would have to see, okay, well, how does this content work? What happens in here? And what do I need to counter that? And so my main focus was Fire Knight. Okay, well, my little things, my little side quests, so to speak, not even really side quests, but little helper quests would be, what do I need to do to make that work? I need to find the people that I need. I need to put them in a team. I need to gear them. So I need to start farming for the gear that I need. And once you get that done, now that's done. And now you can move on. And because there's always going to be all this extra stuff going on at all times, and there was extra stuff going on when I was doing that, but it just wasn't the focus. It wasn't what I was working on. Because when most of your effort is focused in one direction, your progress is going to start to just be more natural. It's just going to start to flow a lot better because you've tuned out all of this other stuff going on that doesn't matter right now. And a lot of the early and mid game burnout, like it doesn't come necessarily from like the difficulty of what you're doing. It just comes from a lot of the pressure from being pulled in all these different directions, like trying to keep up with the new stuff coming out. Try not to miss out on stuff. And it's like you're being pulled in so many different directions by there's constantly an array. There's always this shiny new thing. It's what Raid does. If they keep you depleted of your resources, and you're a spender especially, you're going to buy more and you're going to keep playing their game. But when your priorities are more clear and more focused on like, well, what is my goal? What am I trying to do? How do I need to get there? Okay, let's work on that. Then a lot of that pressure starts to fade because now none of that stuff matters anymore. All that noise is gone. Now you're focused on what you're doing, and you just log in and you do your dailies, and then you move on to what you need to do. And the game is going to start to feel a lot calmer, even if your progress seems in the moment like it's slower, but it's just that it's more focused. And then once you can check that thing off the list, now you see yourself moving on to the next thing, and then you focus, and then you check that off the list, and then you move on to the next thing. And now you've started to collect a lot of parts of the game where you can see, okay, well, I can just do that now. I don't have to worry about that anymore. That's off my list. And over time, this is also going to like help with a lot of stability, because you're gonna be rebuilding less, because your things are starting to work now. You're gonna have fewer regrets on the choices that you're making, not because like you're not making mistakes, as I just showed you earlier, but because the decisions that you're making are made with like purpose, and that's what's going to keep your account moving forward without constantly feeling like you're being left behind. Um, so, with that said, Raid, it isn't about, like we said, it isn't about doing everything. It's about doing the right things at the right times, and also being comfortable with letting the rest of what's not important at that time stick a pin in it and let it go for now, not forever. And your progress is going to become easier when all this effort and work that you feel like you've been putting in finally has a direction, and you don't feel so scatterbrained anymore. Um, so like, because a game like Raid, where they're constantly trying to dangle that carrot and get your attention, um, choosing where to focus your attention is what's finally going to make your forward progress start to happen. And that said, I hope that something that I said here today will help you have a much more calm and relaxed time in Raid today. And I hope you have a great day / night. And see you next time. Bye.